So much energy. And I could see why Madonna signed her. She was amazing, amazing, because she was very big in Canada before as a disco artist. I remember very early on she was a disco artist because I used to be in Canada ever such a lot. So for her to come out with that album, oh, it was fabulous. I liked it a lot.
It was great. Well, I mean, you did have bodyguards. Look, Touch Me went number one everywhere. It blew up around the world. You know, you had from the music a lot of fans. I know you had bodyguards from like a young age. Like, talk to me about that and fame. And like from reading your book, I know you had like your share of stalkers, which not every famous person does. The more I read your book, the more I was like, wow, you had it really deep.
Yeah, you've got to be so careful. That's the other thing when you dream about being a pop star and you follow your dream, you don't think about it's all fantastic, but obviously there's some parts of being famous which are not so fantastic, and you become property, which you can understand to a point. Because I'm one of those girls. If I'm having dinner with my wife and somebody comes over and for an autograph, I know that's this is the path I've chosen, and that person wants this autograph, and I'm one of those. I just can't help it. I'll do it because I've been in that position myself before as a youngster or somebody I've looked up to. So yes, yeah, so such a when I was 17 and it all went massive because of my modeling career and also the openings of shops. I quickly did need bodyguards, but I made it really glamorous. Being a big, massive, just growing up as a child, I used to read many autobiographies and biographies, especially about Marilyn Monroe. There's been so many books, and I remember reading the book Goddess and thinking, I'm not going to be like that. There was just no one with her. Even when she had the autopsy, there wasn't anybody there to stop that going on. And she lived a very much a lonely existence towards the end. And plus, she was very, very smart, where I don't think people give her credit for. She was just before her time, really, and just got caught up in it. So when I read them books, and other people have made big mistakes in their life or they didn't. I mean, let's look at I don't know. There's I don't really want to mention names, but so many. But I knew I didn't want to make those mistakes, and by reading those books, I really learned a lot. And so when I used to turn up to open a nightclub or open some event, I used to have two bodyguards. I would wear just something. I wasn't a singer yet, so I'd wear something very glamorous, something very Monroe. I would give the press what they wanted and the fans when I arrived. We would arrive in a British Rolls Royce. My two bodyguards would be in black tie, basically, black bow ties, very smart. They weren't brawn, they weren't toughies, but they were very trained. They were trained in martial arts, so they were kind of very low key. That I'm not big on these bodyguards who look massive, who can't even run anywhere, but they just look scary. And we used to turn up and looking like everybody wanted me to turn up. And I learned that from reading old Hollywood biographies and stuff like that and give them what they really wanted. So I turned up the club, it would only be an hour, but they got the whole arrival and I looked great and how they wanted me to look. Sometimes I just want to turn up in my jeans and a t-shirt because I think t-shirts are sexy. My mum would go, no, Sam, you're Britain's number one model, glamour model, give them what they want. And so mum's always been great for me in that way and reading books. And so, yeah, bodyguards from a young age, but it was all very, then it did get more crazy, I must admit. There's so much bodyguards can do, but you can't stop windows coming in or you can't stop people running. Like I remember arriving by helicopter in the middle of Hamburg football stadium because Liverpool was playing Hamburg. And I was very, very big in Germany at that time. Well, I'm still big in Germany. I'm going there in January, but it was that time where it was really crazy. And then there was all these crazy football supporters because we have got some crazy football supporters in Britain. Ooh. And they all
Wow.
just basically ran towards the stage and to attack me. Well, maybe not in an horrible way, but I wouldn't have liked to have stayed around. And I was still singing when my bodyguard was taking me up the stairs of the football pitch. and I was still singing. Talk about professional. I could have been killed. And I remember my bass player, as he got trampled, and I remember all his nails come off onto the bass. Oh my God. Sometimes it was really scary. And to be honest, I don't know about you, but when I'm nervous, I laugh. It's, it's like, I can't believe this is happening to me, you know. Remember, I was still young, so I just really couldn't believe it. It was like, I used to get home and think, oh my God, did that just happen? Um, yeah,
Yeah. I
got just
mean,
used to it.
really? I mean, because I remember in your book that one story about the guy who said he was outside and if you don't come out, he was gonna like hang himself. And I mean, like, didn't you get scared ever?
Well, that was worse actually. No, he said he was going to cut his wrists.
Oh,
He I'd left home when I was 21, and my sister was still living at home. She's 6 years younger, and basically started to. In those days, there you could not get anybody away from your front door. There was a new law came in, thank God, where they couldn't come within so many miles, so many kilometers, so many miles to your house. But he actually had the right to sit right outside my house and nobody could do anything about it. And he thought that my mum and dad kept me in a cellar as prisoner. And he used to knock every day and said, please let her come out. I know she's in there. Anyway, my sister came out one day and she weren't very friendly. She was a typical teenager, you know. And then he threatened to cut his wrists. And um, we basically called the police in the end, and he did actually hurt himself quite badly, which wasn't nice. And he's now in a he's in France in a special place.
wow.
Yeah,
Does that,
and there's been a few over the years, but sometimes I don't like to speak about it too much because sometimes I think if I push it, other people watching me or listening to me, I know I've written it in my book because I think it would help people and let people know the other side of fame. But sometimes you feel if you keep talking about it, you're going to give people ideas, and that kind of scares you. You know, that kind of scares you because it only takes one, doesn't it? Really, you know.
yes, it only takes one. And that
Yeah,
in some ways still exists today, all these decades later, like you said, 40 years.
yeah. there,
Wow.
yeah. The most recent one I think was 6 years ago, and no, it wasn't. It was 8 years ago because I was with Myra, my ex, and I went to the gym, and I went really early, and she was still in bed, and she could hear noises out the front of the window. So she looked, and this guy, he looked very much like a tramp, and he was going through all my bins. Sometimes they go through your bins to look at business and stuff like that, but we're cute about that. Nothing goes like that in the bins anymore. And then she saw him putting on some black leather gloves. And we've got back areas. We've got cameras. We've got security cameras that go straight to the police. But he obviously wasn't in his mind. And then he was putting on gloves. So she rang me. And I said, Myra, please just ring the police now. They came and they actually got him. And he was just about to smash his way in my windows to get into the house, and that was terrifying. But the bad thing is, he got questioned for hours and hours in the police station, but they sent him back to France on the Eurostar, and that's how he basically got to me. But he does come from an asylum, so he's put back into the asylum, and then the French police said we cannot help you on his release, or if because they can come out for the day and just get onto the the Eurostar. So it's a bit frightening, yeah. But you got to live your life. I know martial arts and I know boxing. I'll be all right.
Wow. How
Mm.
much of, because your music was everywhere, it was great, like how much of you personally was that public image? Like